Good evening, everyone. I am Cheryl, so hello. I'm going to invite Tony onto our The Business of Property series. Where are you there, Tony? There you go. Excellent. Brilliant. So while Tony is getting added to our little chat, here we are. G'day, Tony. Can you hear me?
I can. How are you?
Really well. How are you doing? It looks like
I'm doing great.
is it still
Uh,
bright and sunny in sunny Queensland?
no, I've got my studio lights on because I looked at it last week and it was incredibly dark. Also, I was incredibly small, so at least we've got the orientation right. But it's
Right.
incredibly dark, so I've got my studio lights on. It's a
Wow.
full-blown television, Cheryl. It's a full-blown television production whenever I'm involved. So we've got the lights, we've got all sorts of stuff happening.
Brilliant. I sort of need that just for me, you know. All
I'll
is good. Hi,
I'll give
Peter.
you some tips.
Peter is a bit of a superstar, so I think he's hopefully you can get a little bit of value of what we're having a chat about
Good.
today.
Hmm,
And here we are talking about goal setting.
we are.
Um, and something that I said to you earlier is that I'm not sure if many of us give a lot of sort of that thought and that weight to um, the importance of goal setting.
Hmm.
And I'm wondering if you find that in your coaching that it's sort of like, oh yeah, we talk about goal setting all the time since we were kids,
Hmm.
but how are
Hmm.
people actually implementing goal setting effectively?
Okay.
And if not, what are the tips and tricks and things we should be looking out for?
Righto, so there's quite a few questions in there. So the number one problem that I find with business owners, wherever I go, is that they aren't clear on what they want. And so that's the first thing. It's about you need to get clear on what you want. You need to get clear on your goals. The analogy that I use, it's like a GPS. So when you go to a new destination, do you just type in the suburb and hope that you miraculously find the street or the house or the shop that you're looking for? Of course you don't. You type in the specific address into the GPS and you find it and you get there. And it's no different with our business, it's no different with our life. That the clearer that you can be on what it is that you want, on what you're going for, and what your goal is, then the easier it is to know, am I on or off track to get there? And so that's the biggest problem I find is that people just aren't specific enough, aren't clear enough on what their goal is. They might have a goal of, well, I want a successful business, but that's
Yes.
about that wide. Or I want to make $100,000 in the next calendar year. That's fine, but how are you going to make that? By when is there milestones involved? A whole range of sort of sub goals or tasks and milestones beneath that. That help you achieve it. But you've got to get clear on what you want. And as I said, the GPS is the best analogy that I use.
And why is it not just a matter of going, okay, and that is a good analogy because I've
Hmm,
had people go, I'm heading
hmm,
to a certain suburb,
hmm,
and that's sort of where they are. They're sort of like, I'm
hmm,
in a certain suburb, but I don't actually know which exact street.
hmm,
So
hmm,
um, that point where you say about business, I want to grow a successful business. So if
hmm,
we're talking about the business of property here,
hmm,
um,
hmm, hmm,
or I want to be a property developer.
hmm.
Is that too broad?
No, of
And
course it
how?
is. Yeah. So I want to be a property. So let's play that out. So I want to be a property developer. So how many properties do you want? Which strategy are you going to use? By when? So there's a whole range of strategies, whether it be in actual developing. So you've got subdivisions. You've got townhouses, unit complex, land subdivisions. You're going to build, construct, and sell houses. Are you going to renovate? Are you going to get into the whole high res stuff, the houses of multiple occupancy? So how is it specifically that you're going to get there? So you might have a goal of saying, well, I want to get $100,000, but how many projects do I need to do in order to get that? What's my time frame on that? So there's a whole range of specifics that sit in behind the goal. And again, the whole idea of this is to give you some real direction as to where you're headed, is to say, well, that's clearly what it is I want. See, I believe that we can all have whatever it is that we want. The problem is we're just not clear on what that is.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And so this comes back to, I mean, there's so many strategies in
Mm,
property and
mm,
development and all that.
correct.
And this where
Mm,
we go back to that why and try to identify
mm,
um, which strategy we want to head down to be able to get us to, point B. I find that I come across a lot of people who are like, I really want to get into property development, and this is sort of,
mm,
but I don't know which direction to take.
mm, mm.
Or and then there's that whole then they're a bit reserved to be able to take the next step because whether they're limited by time or money, they sort of go, oh, I
Mm.
don't know if I should be doing subdivision or actually should I be doing units or should I be
Sure,
doing options or whichever. So how do
sure,
we clarify that so that they can
sure.
head the right path?
So you're not going to know until you try some stuff. And okay, you don't want to go and buy a large block of land to work out that you don't like subdivision, right? That's not what I'm suggesting. But there's plenty of people out there who are doing subdivisions or doing townhouses or doing units or doing, whatever it is. And you want to be able to have a chat to those people. Talk to them about what they like about it. What don't they like about it? What's the pros in doing that strategy? What's the cons in doing that strategy? Start to get a deeper understanding and then sit with yourself. It's like, well, you might hear a whole lot of positives, and that is the typical positive is, well, hey, you can make a lot of money,
Yeah,
but there's a whole lot of other things that you need to consider, and that is that it takes a long time. There's a lot of downtime in developing because you might, submit something into council and then you wait. You might be, arguing with contractors, knocking down trees, whatever it is. There might be a whole range of things that actually don't sit that comfortably with where you're at. Cash flow. I know that finance is obviously your business, Cheryl, but financial side of things. There's a whole lot of financial pressures, etc. So you really need to challenge yourself before you go too far in. Is does this strategy fit with who I am now? And still, in that case, you're not going to know fully until you're in there, boots and all. But you can get a pretty good idea by going along to a variety of network meetings, by getting involved in this community, or there's other communities as well, and you ask people and you explore, and it's like a buffet. You want to taste. You want to taste as many different things in the buffet to then try and work out. I think that's where I want to go, and even though then you're still not guaranteed, but at least you're trying to get to a point where you've explored by asking enough experienced people to understand, well, hey, that feels like the right direction for me to go in. So, for
sure.
example, renovating, a lot of people don't want to get their hands dirty. So
Yeah,
for those people, well, then that's off the table. So if it was a subdivision that involved a renovator, well, that's not for you, or you're going to need to outsource it. But then there's other people who love renovating, who love getting down and getting dirty. And so again, it's about work out. We talked last week about your why, but
yeah.
it's about just go and explore, what you think's the best fit for you.
Yeah. I've been listening to an audiobook, Eat That Frog. I don't know if you've read the book or listened to that before. The concept
Brian
around,
Tracy, is that Brian Tracy? No.
is it Tracy? I'm not quite sure, but it's about eating the frog, which is like you said, talking about that. Hi, Davina. The elephant. What's the analogy about the elephant?
You
You're going to
eat
take
you eat it one bite at a time.
you eat it one bite at a time, but eating the frog is actually doing the most difficult thing to begin with. And he talked about so in the audio it talks about setting up the 10 things that your goals,
Mm,
your 10 goals, and how
mm,
you want to achieve it, and exactly what you're saying. It's then breaking them down
mm, mm,
individually,
mm.
um, and then being able to feel, yeah, that's it, Davina, frogs. um, the next step of that, and I think I mentioned to you, was actually feeling what it feels like when you actually achieve that.
100%.
So
Yeah,
this
that's
is,
that's part of the process.
yeah,
Well, that's part of the process. So that's part of the changing of the subconscious. So changing the subconscious, increasing your level of belief. And one of the things that I did is I set a date that I was going to leave my job, and I set that date 2 years before I left my job. And so for every single morning, I would wake up, I'd go through a morning routine, and I would visualize myself giving my farewell speech. But not just visualize, I would then go through the emotions that I would feel at that time. And quite often I would end up in tears. Not that I was sad about leaving my job. In fact, the opposite. I was quite, pleased and delighted that I'd actually, all of my hard work had paid off to the point where I was able to leave my job. So you want to be able to feel that, because the more that you can buy into this and have deeper connections to it, then the more you're going to believe that it's true. You're going to gravitate towards it. But again, it's about being very clear on what that thing is down the road. And for some people, they can set themselves 2-year goals. For other people, they can't do that. They can only set themselves a 2-week goal. And again, this is all about self-awareness. And so you just need to work out where you're at. If you're someone who hasn't set a goal for a while, or you've set goals before and it hasn't worked, then I would strongly urge you to set a small goal. Set a small goal, achieve the goal, get the feeling of accomplishment, the feeling of success, reload and go again. If you're someone who can handle a 1-year goal or a 2-year goal or a 5-year goal, then go for that. And if you're someone who does that, and even if it's a small goal, then it's about reverse engineer the process. So reverse engineer being, set yourself that goal at the end. What does the end look like for you? And so the end could be 2 years, 1 year, 5 year, whatever it is, but then reverse engineer it and go, righto, well, if I've got a goal for 2 years, what is my milestone or my task that I need, my milestone? A task at the 6-month mark, and then what does it look like at the 3-month mark, at the 1-month mark, at the 2-week mark, at the 1-week mark, and so on. So you're actually bringing back this way. And the reason that we do it backwards is because when we go forwards, then because we operate in a forwards direction, our mind gets in the way and says, you can't possibly do that. That's not for you. You're not good enough. You haven't got those skills. And so all these stories are going on in your head. When you come backwards, ignore the how. Like, you'll get to the how later. But just set yourself milestones and tasks that you want to achieve. Then from a how point of view, when you get closer into now, it might be that in the next 2 weeks or in the next 3 months, so if you want to be a property developer and you want to achieve your first deal within a year and you have never done property development, well, perhaps one of the things that you're going to do in the next few weeks is you're going to go to a property meetup, or you're going to contribute to a property development Facebook page like this one, or you're going to potentially sign up to a course. So there's a whole range of things. So you don't worry about the how, it's about create the milestones and then have a resourceful mindset that says, now how do I bring this to life? What have I got to do? Which stones do I have to turn over in order to take me to where I want to get to?